Hello everyone! In this clip, we're going to cover importing modules from the Python Standard Library. Earlier, we created the rock, paper, scissors game, and while the user got to pick a new choice for each game, the computer had the same pre-programmed choice every time. So how can we randomly pick the computer's choice? Well, Python has built-in libraries, including the random module, which we can use here. But first, let's take a look at how we use modules. When you install Python on your computer, you get the Python interpreter and its built-in types and functions. You also get the Python Standard Library on your computer as well. Our programs so far have just used Python and its built-in types and functions. But if you need something extra, you can import it from the Python Standard Library. If you do a web search for Python Standard Library, you will find that page under the Python docs at docs.python.org/3, then /library. Then if you scroll down, you can see built-in functions, built-in types, data types, and then mathematical modules. Under here is the random module, which is what we're interested in. If we click on random, we can scroll down to find what functions this module offers. For our first example, we're interested in the functions for integers, and we're going to use the random.randint function to return a random integer in a certain range. First, we're going to use the random module to simulate rolling a 6-sided dice. First, we created a Python script named rolldice.py. Then at the top of the file, we need to import the random module with import random. This will allow us to use its functions in our program. And we can use this multiple times to import many different modules for extra functionality in our programs. Once we have random imported, we can call random.randint with the numbers 1 and 6 as arguments. According to the docs we just saw, this will return a random number between 1 and 6. And we're going to assign whatever number it returns to the variable roll. To see what random integer was generated, let's add a print statement saying the computer rolled A, and then concatenate the variable roll to it with the plus operator. Let's not forget to convert the int to a string with the str function. If we run this, we can see from the output that the computer rolled a 6. And if we ran this several more times, hopefully we would see a wide variety of rolls between 1 and 6 to reflect randomness. Now that we've simulated rolling a dice, let's remove the print statement and instead turn this into a little game where we ask the user to guess the dice roll. Let's use the input function to prompt the user for a number with the message guess the dice roll. We also want to convert the input to an int with the int function, and we'll assign the result to the variable guess. We need guess to be an int so we can compare it to roll, which is also an int, to check if they're equal. If we run this, we can see the program prompts the user and the user is able to enter the number 6. Now that the user can enter a number guess, let's see if their guess was equal to roll. We can add an if statement to check if guess is equal to roll. If it is, then print correct, they rolled A, and concatenate the number they rolled. Again, don't forget to convert the int back to a string to concatenate it. If we run this, we can see the prompt to the user to enter a guess, and the user enters 6. And we see correct, they rolled a 6 entered to the screen. We went ahead and ran the program again, and the user entered 6 as a guess again, but now we don't see any output. That means the roll wasn't equal to the user's guess. So we need to add an else statement for when the guess is wrong. We can add an else statement that prints wrong. They rolled A, concatenated to the value of the roll variable. And if we run this, we can see the user entered a guess of 6, and we can see wrong, they rolled a 4 printed to the screen. If we ran this many more times, we would hope to see a mix of right and wrong guesses for a lot of different dice rolls. Now that we've seen how to use the random module to simulate rolling a dice, let's see if we can use the random module in our rock, paper, scissors demo. Now we have VS Code back open with our rockpaperscissors.py program that we wrote earlier. We can see that the computer choice is always set to scissors, which the user would probably eventually figure out and doesn't make the game as much fun. So we'd like for the computer to randomly choose either rock, paper, or scissors. If we look at the Python docs for the random module again, we can see the functions for integers and the randint function we just used. And if we scroll down a little further, we can see functions for sequences. The first function is random.choice, which takes a sequence as an argument. We can think of sequences as a list, and that function returns a random element from that list. Back in our program, let's delete this line of code that hard codes the computer's choice. Now, we haven't seen lists in Python yet, but as a preview of the next module, we can create a list with square brackets, and we're going to put the strings scissors, rock, and paper inside. Let's also import the random module now. Then we can use the random.choice function we just saw with our list as an argument inside the parentheses. Now this function will return a random choice from that list, either rock, paper, or scissors. We also want to assign whatever it returns to the variable computer choice, which is what we used before in our if statements. Now if we run this, we can see how the game is now random. First, let's pick rock, and we get a tie, so the computer must have had rock as well. Then we'll pick scissors, and we win because the computer had paper. And finally, we'll pick paper, and we win because the computer had rock. So we can see the computer's choices were pretty random. Rock, paper, and then rock again. Great job! Now we have a random rock, paper, scissors game, which makes it much more fun.